let's see. This week is the new normal. How quickly do things change? So let's see. January, I was on the ground at Sundance. 2 months later, I was covering South by Southwest remotely and had no access to anything but movies. 2 months later, I'm attending a film festival virtually via Microsoft Teams. So in the course of 6 months, that's how much things can change. So we decided we would talk about the new normal. We weren't quite sure what it was. I think we all had a different idea of it, but I think Danny summed it up pretty well. Something happens that causes a change in people's life. What is that change? And that's kind of what we're going to talk about this week. So, what do you guys? I think we're all going to be completely different on these things. What are you guys' favorite movies about the new normal?
I don't know if I have a favorite like of it. Like I had examples.
Let's walk it back. So you have a definition of what a new normal is, and Blake and I were kind of like, I don't know what it is. So, how did you go at what a new normal is?
So I had two different thought trains, I guess. So one of them, obviously, is like something fucking huge happened, and now we're here, a la zombie, zombie land or whatever. So Avengers Infinity War, we have the snap. Now we have a new normal after that, obviously, right? And at the end of Endgame, we have a new normal. So for 5 years, these people lived, with what they call the blip in Spider-Man. And then I thought of like Blade Runner and all the cyberpunk stuff, where something happened in technology and everything kind of like went fucking crazy. So now we have a new normal in Blade Runner, and a lot of it kind of went like with Blade Runner 2049. Something happened within the original movie, and now we are living with the consequences of whatever that is. So I think that's where I was at. Like we have sequels that really work with that, but then we have like new movie, it comes at night. We don't know what's happening, but these people are living their new life essentially.
Right.
So
right.
I think I had like this kind of idea, like everybody has a new start essentially, and we're moving forward with whatever happened in our past. Might be explained, might not be explained, but we're moving forward with whatever events have happened. So I feel like disaster movies start like that, and then like I think what was it? I think like A Day After Tomorrow starts with the whole disasters, and then we end up with half of the world frozen. Or Independence Day, now there's aliens essentially out there trying to kill us. Things like that. I don't know if those are like what you guys were thinking of, but now I'm very curious what you
more
guys
or less.
had.
No, that's
I was gonna ask Blake, since you like, how did you end up going at this?
So I guess like I very much similar train of thought, line of thinking. But I guess mine were more along the lines of not as it's happening, but like way after it happened. So the first one that came to mind, the very first thing, once I kind of grasped the concept, was Mad Max.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Road Warrior and all that stuff. It's a universe, kind of built into itself after this. What you're assuming is a nuclear war, for sure. And Snowpiercer also comes to mind. These people on a train eating roaches, like roach bricks. Like that was more in the line of in what I was going with. Yeah. So I have more stuff like that on a list here.
I went with and those are all great examples and ways to look at it. Is I took it as someone who's just moving on with their life, and it doesn't necessarily have to be this catastrophic event like a zombie outbreak or nuclear war. So it's not my favorite movie, or neither of these are my favorite movies, but they kind of tied together for me, and more so because of the titles than anything else. So the first one I thought of in regards to a new normal is Coming to America, because
that's a great
Eddie
pick.
Murphy.
It's a great pick. Yeah,
he's literally royalty where he's from, and he comes to America, and he's selling Big Mix and a McDowell's, bottom of the barrel, the lowest of the low. But that's his new normal from having everything catered to him. He's now working very hard and people laughing at him. And, there's a whole like, yes, fuck you too. Because he has no idea. He knows nothing about what's going on in this world. But he's dealing with it and he's accepting it and he's adapting to all of that. The other movie that I thought of that, and the only reason that they even relate is the titles are somewhat similar, is Born on the 4th of July.
Oh, okay.
The main character, he's very patriotic as a kid growing up. Like, I believe his dad was a firefighter, or he might have also been in the military. But he's very proud of this country growing up. He can't wait to serve. He goes to Vietnam, and it turns out that it's nothing like the comics and the books and the movies that he saw growing up. He comes back to America, and he's not a hero at all. He's not a hero. He becomes an anti-war protester, actually, and it ends with the him and his group. I believe they're charging the Republic National Convention. I believe they're protesting some big event. I don't remember what, but that's a new normal for him too. Because when he left, everything was kind of Americana, like apples and roses. It was everything was happy and great. And then he left to Vietnam, and he came back, and everything was on its head. But he learned to accept it. He lived with it. He had to deal with those situations. So those are the things that I kind of took it as, it's a new life, but it doesn't necessarily have to be well, those are drastic situations actually, but right. Initially I did think of like cyberpunk type things, or because of what we're going through, I thought of some sort of outbreak. But then I just thought, it can be just like immigrants. I think that's absolutely a new normal, and that's just traveling across an ocean.
Absolutely.
Right.
Hell, A Knight's Tale. Shit, you just opened my whole mind to the whole different side of this thing. Right.
Yeah. I started.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help the audience and both of you. So, what do you guys think is the most appropriate, or what scene from any movie or television show kind of shows off this accepting of a new normal? I can tell you mine really quickly. Like when we talked about it last week, the first thing I thought was Futurama and Hedonism Bot. They're watching an opera, and he goes, "An opera with women? How absurd!" But he accepts it. He totally is cool with it.
Well, as far as like scenes, like iconic scenes of like, I would say acceptance. Like one stands out in my mind more than anything, and that is Charlton Heston seeing the Statue of Liberty in Planet of the Apes. Like he's like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah.
God damn it.
That's actually a really good one.
Yeah.
And talk about a new normal.
Yeah. Fucking apes running shit now, dude.
Well, as Pat was talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, like even the new ape movies, like the Planet Ape movies, like that is like a transition, like where man is still trying. I guess they want to win this war, I guess, but obviously their new normal has completely like changed, where they're battling apes, I guess. And I just think that's so like fucking crazy, like
dirty bastards.
Dirty bastards. But the new trilogy that came out a while back, I think those are like, it's a really good justification of a trilogy. And if you just want to see a good movie, I would recommend it. Like it doesn't have to be a new normal, but it's a pretty good damn like trilogy.
You kind of like went out there for a second.
Oh, sorry.
No. I think you know what I think. I think it was mine because just
okay.
thing just came up on mine.
Oh no,
that's weird.
So I feel like there's a lot of movies that kind of like, because there's like I guess I'm trying to get my train of thought here too, like time traveling movies. They start off like Bill and Ted, right? We start off like a completely like losers, and then they're going through time, and by the time they get back to the present, they're completely like confident in themselves, and they start a new trend. Like I guess Back to the Future does something like that as well. Do you think that kind of works with that? Because a scene I only think of like that, like those are the scenes that like, oh yeah, we started this new life for ourselves. This is the new normal, I guess.
Yeah, it works because I think what I also thought of for a new normal is pretty much any dystopian story. It doesn't even have to be dystopian, actually. Anything involving any sort of time travel where you're going forward or backwards in time.
Mm-hmm. Oh shit, it's true.
Yeah, all that is absolutely dealing with a new normal. Now, they might not like what they're dealing with, and they might have trouble accepting it, but they're still having to deal with it, because once we come out of the other side of this, some of us will be very easy and will seamlessly flow into a smaller world that's more virtual. Other people will not be very happy with the way things are going to be going after this, which kind of leads to my next question. Like, what do you guys think is the most relatable movie or genre that's regards adapting to a new normal?
Boy, most relatable, The Matrix.
Well, that's because you always take red pills.
I don't think he's that far off. I think the Matrix is. I think that is the most relatable one. Like fucking Keanu gets out of whatever the thing that shit was. You know, he's
The
given.
Animus.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Like now
know,
we're. I'm just gonna say animus, whatever. Like and now we're here. You know, like living under having a giant rave like that. That I want to be part of that. I relate to that. We all did raves, right?
No,
Yeah,
it
like
wasn't cool
25
enough,
years
but
ago.
I never found out where the secret locations were. They wouldn't tell a geek like me. But you know, that
But
does
you had such cool VHS tapes.
Yeah.
this is
By
true.
the way, going back to
Um,
the Last Dance, I just want to say Steve Kerr. I have so much in common with Steve Kerr that
That's no wonder I like you, Danny.
so much,
well,
so
but
much.
he's a
Oh,
winner
sorry,
and
sorry.
you're not.
He's a champion.
That's very true. That's very true.
You know what are relatable, and this is such a cheap answer because they're supposed to be, is any high school coming of age story are super relatable because
Yeah.
that's all about dealing with a new normal, whether they're going from middle school into high school or whether they're leaving high school to enter the adult world. Like that's something totally new in their lives. And even now I'll sit back and watch there was something that was on the other day, like not Pretty in Pink, but 16 Candles. That's like always on
I love
somewhere.
16 Candles.
Yeah, even now it's been 30 years, right? 40. I don't know how many years it's been, but I don't know how many
35.
times I've seen 35 years and can still watch that movie, still be like, wow, I totally get it, and it's still laugh out loud funny. So cheap answer, but I find coming of age movies, even now, like Edge of 17. I don't know if you guys saw that one with Woody Harrelson. That one you can still eighth grade. I know people went totally gaga over it. I think it really has one joke in it. However, I will say that it does have some cool moments that that are very much like, oh, I kind of remember that. That being said, the movie sucked, but and if you like it, you're just pandering. But so, do you guys think that the movies about a new normal are popular, and if so, why are these movies so popular?
Are they popular?
Or,
Yeah,
or
definitely. Yeah, I would say that is because it's like I think you just nailed it because it's relatable, right? There's like lots of relatable things that come with that kind of storyline. Even if it is like a dystopian like thing, a lot of times it's like, well, yeah, they're hungry. Shit, I've been hungry. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
you know what's you know what I think are the most popular topics for a new normal, and I think these movies are like we've talked about some like Planet of the Apes is it's sci-fi. Back to the Future is obvious, family friendly comedy type of stuff. But I think most new normal stuff is so serious because it has to deal with like racial division, gender politics, ageism. Like these are the
right.
things that we see in a new normal. You
A
know
Hunt for the
what?
Wilder people, man. That's like a thing that just kind of keeps popping in my head as we keep talking. Like very serious tones. There's like a death that leads to some like personal bonding between those two characters, and definitely a new normal for both but for both those characters. Very much so.
Yeah, and things like adoption, like things that had to deal with adoptions, like instant
3 Men
family
and a
with
Baby.
3 Men and a Baby. Like it's
It's
serious.
so
Like
good.
yeah, like these things like you're dealing with either having a baby being left at your doorstep or like dealing with a whole new adoption. These are new situations for like all these characters, and I feel like even like what's that fucking movie called, the hockey one with Kurt Russell,
Oh,
Miracle.
Miracle.
Yeah, so like
Uh,
so sports documentaries also have some like a new normal. Like now we are not just a second rate hockey team. We're like a world power hockey team.
at least that one year.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
At least the one year. You know what? Speaking of coming of age and sports, do you guys remember Lucas?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah. Winona Ryder's in there, River Phoenix. Lucas always got to me. Now, Danny mistakenly compared himself to Steve Kerr. I can actually,
You
I,
can't shoot
I can,
anyway.
I can
I
actually
can't.
relate to I can relate to Lucas. I mean, nerdy dude, going after the girl that he really likes, but he doesn't want to admit how like geeky and poor he is. Everyone at school, well, no one at school really hated me, but no one would throw a football at me. That's for sure. Like, no one would dare throw the football to me. But the end of Lucas, I will readily admit to this day when they play in the big game and everyone's like, throw it to Lucas, throw it to Lucas, and then there's the big moment where Charlie Sheen throws the pass to him and he's wide open and he drops it, costing them the game. And then the next day he goes to school and everyone's just mad dogging him. But then he opens his locker and there's a Letterman jacket in there and everyone starts chanting, Lucas, Lucas. Tears in my eyes. Right now, I'm actually, my eyes are watering.
R.I.P.
Hey, we still got Joaquin at least.
True. And Charlie Sheen, he's just AIDS ridden.
Hey, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonades.